Hello, everyone, and a very warm welcome to our show, We Talk Talent. In this episode of We Talk Talent, we have Bhajneet Dhingra, Head of Talent Acquisition Khatabook. He's a strategic leader, passionate about building recruitment teams from scratch. With more than 17 years of experience in talent attraction, he has been exposed to recruiting for entry level through C suite executive roles. Currently, Bhajneet heads the talent for Khatabook, which entails developing an organization's human capability by aligning structure, systems, and process to drive growth, innovation, and continuous improvement. He has expertise in hiring for various domains such as startups, market research, healthcare, consulting, and financial services. Today, I'm happy to have him on the show. Welcome to the show, Bhajneet. How are you doing?
Hi, Abid. Thanks for inviting me. And I'm doing fine. How about you?
I'm doing good. Bhajneet, we have a very quick interaction, and I'll not take much of your time, and I'll start with a very important question. Everybody is talking, about tackling the changes in the workplace, especially after the pandemic. So I would like you to share something about it. Like, how is your industry tackling the changes that the workplace has gone through? Like, it's tremendous change it has gone through over the past couple of years. If you could share a brief overview with us.
Sure. So I think I represent financial services fintech firm, Khatabook, and I think major changes that has happened over the years. I think we need to understand in different pieces. The one is fintech industry as a loan has gone up. I think pre-COVID versus now, you see there's a substantial growth, right? In terms of people adopting to digital payments, platforms, and the way the business is growing, right? If you really see, as of 2021 alone, I think the fintech market, stood at a colossal $31 billion market, right? And they're estimated to touch roughly $150 billion USD by end of 2025, right? And then the other part is the overall. If you see in June 2021 alone, India produced roughly 16 fintech unicorns, and then this space is definitely growing at a faster pace, really aligned and powered by new age cutting edge technologies, right? If you see the data from National Payment Corporation of India, October from Feb to October 2020, right? We have seen a tremendous growth. I think National Payment Corporation really enforce people to really adopt to payment gateways and really getting everything digitized, right? And we have seen an increase of 58% adoption, right, between Feb and October, and roughly recorded $2 billion transactions in that span of 6 to 7 months alone, right? And if you see on the whole, the payment gateways, the UPI platform, the market is ready to hit $1 trillion mark by end of 2023, right? The last piece here is the whole lending piece, which is we are also now getting into and getting to, is all about how do you build platforms which can cater to providing loan to end-to-end customer, or to a segment which is undeserved and underbanked, right? And these platforms are really designed in such a way that they can cater and process loans in a much more efficient and in a way that it can really reach to end customer, right? Again, this is again powered by technology. I think the lending market alone, I think by 2023 end would touch a $350 billion. Now, coming back to your question, how do we cater it? Because there's a lot of disruption happening, and I thought I should give some background to it as to what's happening in the fintech industry as a whole. I think the Gen Z, new age developers, the core engineering people, it's tough to attract. They are the one who believe, and then they believe that how you can really relate to their growth, personal growth, their professional growth, and how do you attract that talent in the organization, right? I think that's one of the challenges which we feel, and I think that's one area. I think the retention and attrition goes hand in hand, and how do you make sure that you hire people and retain them, and make sure that you also have your attrition under control, right? And how do we tackle this to make sure that you really create an environment which is personalized for them? You give them a hybrid environment, which is you work 3 days from office, 2 days from home, flexible work timings, and at least in Khatabook, we have unlimited leave policies. We don't really put a tap on what time you come and what time you leave, right? So what really matters is how you deliver, right? And how do you bring that flexibility? So I think one of the challenges to retain the talent. I think that's I think true across the board, not only limited to one particular industry or a segment, right?
Thank you so much, Bhajneet, sharing about the market, fintech market as well as about the workplace. So my next question is, uh, since you are handling talent acquisition, but I would like you to throw some light on your D&I agenda. What are your thoughts?
So I think on diversity and inclusion, I would say there's a research report from McKinsey that 50% of the companies, gender diverse companies, would like to outperform their peers, right? If they have the right mix of gender diversity, right? And most likely, 70% of them would really get the share in the new market, the new business, if they have the right gender diversity mix. Currently, at Khatabook, we have at 24% gender diversity, and we have taken an ambitious target of 35% over the next 2 years, right? And how do we do it? It's just to drive the right level of job applicant, diverse job applicant, right? Through our sourcing channels and to make sure that our sourcing channel so robust and implemented in a way that we have a application tracking system which can track 30 to 70 female to male ratio, right? In terms of the incoming applications coming and hitting us, right? And it trickles down from bottom to top, right? And I think I personally feel diversity is not about only hiring women. It's also how do you bring that real change at the org level also, and then how do you give them a seat at a leadership level also. And for that, we have a program which is upward career mobility, and that's something we have dedicated design to make sure that we empower women at Khatabook, right?
You very rightly said that diversity is not only about gender diversity, it's way more than that. Um, it's gender neutral, it's about equity, it's about color. There's a lot of things that we need to consider. Second thing is about talking about the workforce and talking, there are different segments in the workforce. We have millennials, we have, I don't know what to say before millennials, what do we have? But right now, Gen Z is there.
Yeah.
So, what is your take on the new generation, Gen Z, entering the workforce, and how do you see their expectation differ from those of the previous generations, maybe millennials before millennial, the pre-millennial era?
Yeah, so I think my take on Gen Z is they practice activism and stability. They are not concerned about the bread and butter, which at least in my generation or generation before me used to be, right? I think they really need to understand how a company vision, policies, company overall objective is linked to their personal and professional growth. That's one, right? And what you show on paper should actually work in real time, right? Or they don't mind leaving the job, honestly, right? And also, how do you create an environment which is innovative for Gen Z? How do you create an environment which is also about their mental well-being, their own personal growth as well? And when I say personal growth, it could be the trainings you impart to them, right? And which could be only not a training for a heck of it, but a value-based training which can enhance their career down the line, right? I think this is where you shift the gears with Gen Z. They are far more proactive when it comes to their own growth. They are far more proactive when it comes to their personal growth, and they want to work for a company which can provide a really a mix or a good balance of both, right? I think in a nutshell, I would say a defined work life balance, to be precise, right? To make sure that if they're working for a XYZ company, they are really being taken care of. I think the other piece I talked about the innovation is to really they need to have an environment which can give them an opportunity to innovate or to really showcase their creativity, their ideas, and which can really grow from a table to a real a production environment, right? When it comes to technology.
My next question is about the war which is going, the talent war I'm talking about. And I think skill shortage is causing the talent war. So, what do you feel, according to you and your industry demands? What type of skill shortage do you think is causing the talent war?
So I have a couple of skills in my mind, back of mind, and I think those are relevant now and they'll be relevant for the next couple of years for sure. One is you need data communicator and storyteller. If you really see by 2025, 70% of jobs would require and involve data for sure. And how do you bring in people on the board who really not only understand how to communicate data, how to translate, analyze, and even communicate, right? And then data is the new oil and data is the new key, right? Second one is the UX design. I think technology has democratized each one of us, regardless of our role in any organization, right? And you have to work with technology. And then the role of a UI designer or a UX designer is to make sure how do you make it more accessible, more I would say look and feel good factor for the end user, right? And to make sure that they adopt technology at a faster rate. So UX design is the second one, which I personally feel is the need of the hour. And the third one is, I would say, the AI ML, the artificial intelligence, machine learning, which is again, I think, cutting across the spectrum, not really segment to any particular industry, be it fintech, be it healthcare, be it automotive, right? Everywhere, I think, while the data is there, then the AI ML is kind of growing leaps and bounds. And I think this is one skill which will now grow further. I think recently I was reading an article on Chat GPA, which has like more than 1 million download, right, in a short span of time. So you can see here, I think we used to have chatbots, but this Chat GPA is kind of taken it to the next level altogether, right? So AML for sure, data science, the fourth one definitely, where I think everything is now around data, and then everything is around data. And how do you make sure that you have people who can really correlate to AI ML and make sure that they are getting the products out in the market, which can be user friendly and used by the end user. And the last one I personally feel is the overall backend developers, which are the key for at least in the startup ecosystem for sure. Which definitely we need people who are smart enough, understand how. And today, I think with the fast pace of technology, we could see we are looking for even no code, low code, coming in, right? So how do you have your team of backend developers coming in and kind of make sure that you are up and running, right?
Okay, thanks for very specifically pointing out the skill shortage that everybody needs to fill in. My last question is about talent acquisition, which you have an upper hand. So, can you share some of the most prominent challenges you face in the TA space, and what are your strategies to overcome them?
Yeah, so I think the first one is the overall demographic changes. When I say demographic changes, it is more aligned to you have the mixed bag of employees to manage. They are gig workers, they are contractors, they are interns, they are new Gen Z employees, and you have traditional employees. So how do you really strike a balance and make sure that you don't have one size fit all policy? So it has to be tailored, it has to be personalized for each and every one, and make sure that it kind of meets the need and requirement of each and every individual, right? I think at a whole, the organization has to think and keep employee first policy, employee first environment, right, to make sure that you are catering to the mixed bag of employees, right? And this is where the demographic challenges comes in. A rapid change in technology, or I would say I think overall a change in job market, rapid change in job market has caused also a lot of skill gap. With the advent of new technology coming in every 6 months to a year, I think that's one area where most of the companies are struggling, and they want to make sure that how do they cater to this problem statement. I think a couple of suggestions were how do you make sure that you deploy a academy model, which is hire, train, and deploy. How do you do a community level hiring to make sure that you hit the right communities to really target to these specific people sitting in these communities, right? The third one is at a high level. Overall, there's a change in need and expectation of the employees also, especially with the newsies, right? So they have a different expectations and the needs from the organization. How do you cater to it? How do you make sure that you work with them in tandem, understand how to drive the right engagement model, right? How do you make a personalization, environment or personalized experience to create for them to make sure they stick to you? You hire them, but hiring is one, but how do you hire and retain them? And all this has to run in parallel to make sure these employees are hooked to you and they stay in your organization at least for a year or two for sure, right? And then the last one I would say is by and large the overall I think how companies are doing new business. I think market is getting disruptive with new age platforms, and that also brings in new skills. What is relevant today may not be relevant tomorrow, right? So how do you make sure that companies are also kind of catering to new requirements, and they come and ask you tomorrow, okay, I need XYZ skill, but then that's a chance for TA team because you don't have people, and if you have people, they're not in good numbers to go and hire for, right?
Thank you so much, Bhajneet, for sharing everything in details. It was great learning hosting you and noting jotting the points down, whatever you mentioned about skill shortage, what you mentioned about talent acquisition, talent war. It was lovely hosting you. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you a lot.
Thanks, Avid.